We did just adjust the temperature. When you're very loud, you tend to blow microphones and speakers, so I apologize that that's happening. We'll play it like this. So number one, welcome to you all. I hope you enjoy lunch. If you hear the clink of cutlery, it's okay. This is kind of a chew and view situation for you all, just because it is. I mean, the middle of the day is a big ask to have 240 people take time away from their full-time day jobs to come out to hear from these fantastic leaders from our community. So number one, thank you to all of you. Appreciate the time that you've dedicated to today, as well as the time that these folks are giving us today as well. I want to, number one, start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're in the middle of food, I apologize, but if we can all stand up and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now before everybody sits back down all the way, if our elected officials can stay standing, our elected officials, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you all. Having said, we've got, not only do we have our local municipal leadership here, we've got county leadership, we've got state leadership, which is extremely exciting to see, especially as a community like ours comes together. It's not just one community, it's not just one city, it's really a regional program. So to see everybody from across the region come together, it's an extremely humbling thing. So again, thank you all for that. Now if you are a chamber board or ambassador or staff, you can stand up and be recognized, please. These are the folks that kind of keep me in line and make sure that I show up for the event today and I'm not lost someplace. So thank you to all of them. I want to thank our platinum sponsors, Shaw Media and Star Brock Media, as well as our diamond sponsors, Connecting Point Communications and Valley Coin Jewelry and Pawn. And I'd like to thank our event sponsor for today. Our event sponsor is Comcast. Dave is here. You've got some handouts from Dave. Did ask Dave if he wanted to speak, and he looked at me like I was crazy. So Dave did not want to speak today, but we do appreciate Comcast and their continued support of the Chamber and of our event. With that, we are going to get started. We have, again, 7 mayors up here with us today. Mayor Thompson does have to leave early. She was kind enough to give us some time. During tax season to get an account away from the office is next to impossible, but we were able to pull her away for a little bit here. So Mayor Thompson is going to start us off. She'll take a little bit of time. After she's done, each of the mayors will do an introduction. They've got about a 5-minute kind of pre-intro where they'll talk about what they've done over the last year, what their plans are, and then we will get into the question and answer section. So with that, I'll hand it over to the people you're all here to see and start with Mayor Thompson.
Can you hear okay? No. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm honored to stand before you to present the state of the city of Spring Valley. I'm entering my 4th year as mayor of Spring Valley, and I'm very happy with the progress we have made for our community during the past 3 years. When I presented my State of the City's report 2 years ago, we applied for the Illinois Downtown Revitalization Grant with high hopes of transforming our downtown. We were deeply disappointed when we were not chosen as recipients. However, that didn't stop us from continuing our efforts to fulfill that vision. The city acquired a commercial building at 111 to 113 East St. Paul Street to renovate for a community center. Renovations have begun on the building, and we hope to continue conduit by early 2025. We plan to recreate a multi-purpose space that our citizens can utilize. Our vision for the community center is multifaceted and will appeal to all ages. We'll be able to host community events for the public to attend and offer youth activities and programs. Citizens will be able to rent the space for social events, and clubs and organizations can use it for meetings or gatherings. We are very grateful for the donations we have received so far that will be used for the furnishings inside the building. Last year, the city purchased 2 lots adjacent to our mini park in downtown Spring Valley. Our plans for that area are to transform the mini park into a mega park and provide public restrooms and a concession stand for vendors or organizations that host events downtown. We are also in the process of exploring the best location for a pickleball court. Last week, we completed the demolition of an old hotel on the east end of St. Paul Street. This has enhanced the appearance of that end of town significantly. Recently, a local entrepreneur opened a golf and multi-sport simulator business that is attracting people from all over the Illinois Valley to our downtown. 4 new restaurants opened last year, and a few more are opening soon, as well as a resale shop. Interest in our downtown area continues. Spring Valley has utilized our facade grant program to assist local businesses and entrepreneurs in revitalizing critical areas of the city. We've witnessed the transformation of 17 commercial properties, new companies, establishments, and store enhancement, all contributing to a vibrant and thriving business community. Grove Spring Valley has done a remarkable job working together to create events for the community. Not only do they host events, they also give back to the community. Last year, they donated funds for the community center and for the expansion of the downtown speakers. We're blessed to have a community with residents actively engaged in seeing our town thrive. Our event participation is incredible, with people joining us from all over the region for our Easter egg hunts, Friday night markets, and Christmas events. Grove's recent partnership with Starbrook Community Foundation ensures a strong foundation for future endeavors. Infrastructure has been a cornerstone of our administration's agenda. We have prioritized projects to enhance our essential services, safety, efficiency, and sustainability. From the comprehensive overhaul of our water distribution system on 4th Street to the reconstruction of critical roadways and sidewalks, we've modernized our infrastructure to better serve our community's growing needs. Citizens are enjoying the freshly landscaped bump outs downtown and the replaced 11,000 square feet of downtown sidewalk. In addition, we paved the city parking lot to add parking to our downtown area. Our achievements extend beyond bricks and mortar. Spring Valley has made significant strides in public safety and community well-being. I'm pleased to announce we have secured a grant for our police department, enabling us to hire additional officers dedicated to school resource and community policing. The investment underscores our commitment to ensuring the safety and security of every resident. The fire department has recently expanded staffing by adding a part-time firefighter who is available 7 days a week during the daytime. In response to the closure of our local hospital, the fire department has initiated a training program to equip additional firefighters with first responder skills. These newly trained firefighters will support the 1033 ambulance service during life-threatening emergencies. When an ambulance is unavailable, they can arrive at the scene and assist until mutual aid arrives. The fire department is also actively exploring the possibility of establishing a fire district. We have embraced technological advancements by implementing camera upgrades, including body cams, car video cameras, and wireless video downloading capabilities. These measures enhance accountability and improve transparency between law enforcement and the community. I'm proud to announce the launch of adjudications at City Hall, a streamlined process for contesting municipal ordinance violations. This initiative expedites prosecutions and provides greater convenience for residents seeking to address legal matters locally. I'm also excited to share that Spring Valley has implemented a rental registry program to make living conditions safer for our residents. This program ensures all residential rental properties within our city undergo inspections to uphold safety and compliance standards. Reflecting on these achievements, I'm incredibly gracious to the residents and businesses for their support and partnership in achieving these milestones. I'm thankful to our city council members, department heads, municipal staff, and community partners for your commitment to Spring Valley's success. It's because of your hard work and dedication to our town that all of this has been possible. I appreciate your support and working together as a team for the betterment of our community. In closing, I'm optimistic about the road ahead. I'm immensely proud of what we've achieved together, and I look forward to continuing our journey to a brighter future for Spring Valley. With unity and determination and a shared vision for our city, there's no limit to what we can achieve. The state of our city is strong, vibrant, and filled with promise. Thank you.
Mayor Thompson, thank you very much, and audience, I appreciate you bearing with us through some of that. Hopefully we've got that fixed now. We'll come down the line, so Mayor Curran, if you'd like to go next.
Test one, test two. You looking good? All right. All good. All right. So 2023 was a big year for Oglesby. We had a lot of real little things happen. A couple big things. One of the big things was GTI, which is Green Thumb Industries, finally got up to full operations after 2 expansions. So they employ a couple hundred people, which is fantastic. A couple of the smaller things that we got our dog park up and running. Our disc golf course is operational now. We had a new Hispanic restaurant, Blue Margarita, come in, MP Automotive, a lot of good stuff with that. We actually got a couple grants from the county, believe it or not, we really appreciate that. $200,000 for each. One was for a tanker truck for the fire protection district, and the other was for a storm sewer separation project. The other thing that we did was we upgraded our facade program. Our facade program is officially called the Building Improvement Grant. That's what's upgraded a lot of the things in our downtown district, like Cordelinos, Mercer's, the ice root beer stand, all that kind of stuff. So we've expanded upon that idea to allow to bring in even more money to be able to give people for businesses that aren't even operational yet. So 2023 was a big year. So going into 2024, we had a couple businesses start off the bat. Bon Voyage is a boat storage facility. We have a new diner. Unfortunately, last year we had Cindy's burnt down, so we didn't have a breakfast diner anymore inside the city. So now, just recently, within the last couple of weeks, Jorge's Waffles opened up. So now we have a Monday through Friday breakfast diner spot again. The big things that we're looking forward for the future is we are working on expanding the West End with all of our capabilities. So when GTI came, they really maximized a lot of what we can provide for electric capabilities. So the substation we have out there, we're doing 2 things. One, expanding what we can do to see if we can bring more industry into the area. And then we're also looking at getting a redundant feed. I know a lot of the cities right now, you'll see these requests for developments, these RFDs that come in. And one of the things I'm seeing at the bottom of the RFDs is they'll ask for 2 things. They're asking now for if your city has fiber optic, which I'm proud to say that we do now. And the second thing they're asking for is, do you have a redundant source of power for your facility? So one of the things I'm hoping is by us laying the groundwork for getting that, we're gonna set ourselves up for future success. The reason I say that is, if you think about like GTI, that was really started 2 administrations ago, and it finally got up to full speed last last year. So these things that we do take a lot of time to get things running with it. The other thing we're looking to do is expand upon our TIF expansion, where we're going to bring a lot of the downtown areas back into the TIF. We felt like there was a lot of success the last 4 or 5 years with redeveloping a lot of downtown businesses and stuff like that. So we're hoping to continue with that. So all in all, it's about the work that you put in for long-term success. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mayor Curran. Mayor Klowski.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for being here this afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking and recognizing our team out here. We got a lot of people from Peru. Alderman, these are the aldermen: Tom Payton, Jason Edgecombe, Jim Lukosius, Rick Osadnik, Mike Sapienza, Andy Marino, Bob Tiemann, and Jeff Ballard. Part of my other team, Attorney Schweigert's here, Chief Raymond, Chief King, HR Director Kim Reese, Parks and Rec Director Adam Thorson, Clerk Bartley, Treasurer Jackson Powell. Eric Carls is our city engineer. He's not here today. And Stephen Rounds, our IT. And Bob Vickery from our economic development team. So I'm like a broken record. My dad taught me a long time ago, you surround yourself with talent and you let them do their jobs. And the talent that Peru has is absolutely amazing, and I'm honored to be able to work with these guys on keeping Peru moving forward. The other thing I'd say is I wasn't nervous when I got here until I seen that Senator Resident and Representative Yednock and Mayor Harrell are here today, so I got a little nervous after that. But capping on 2023 for Peru, without a doubt, obviously, it's the return of our healthcare to our community. We have a wonderful representation here from OSF. It's been a long, extremely stressful year for the entire region, but April 7th is approaching fast, and we're looking forward to that. Obviously, GAF, I don't know if anybody's been up that way, GF Manufacturing, they started production. This is a place that our team, again, put together. 70 jobs, 45 hours an hour. 70 trucks a day are going to be coming in and out of that facility. We definitely want to continue to grow our retail. I don't know if anybody caught it, but the City of Peru did $70 million in retail in the month of December alone. That's an incredible number, all-time record. It's phenomenal, but that's the key to Peru. We're going to continue to attack our street program. We just passed a $4.7 million infrastructure, biggest one in the history of Peru, from West Clocks all the way down to the post office. It's going to get completely replaced. What else I got here? Our parks. Our Parks and Rec Director has been doing a great job with improving our parks equipment. Actually, one of our parks just won an award for it. With the help of City Attorney Scott Schweiger, we put together a TIF program that our businesses, you can't tell them what to do with their businesses, but you can motivate them. So we use TIF funds as a grant to motivate them, a match grant to improve their businesses. I believe we give away $50,000. People put up awnings, new windows, they painted their storefronts, things like that. We keep attacking grants. We went for $17 million worth of grants last year. We ended up with $9 million, which is incredible. The airport keeps growing, a big part of the city of Peru. 5 new hangars have been built up in the airport. Our Pojo subdivision, 53 or 57 lots, 30 of them sold, and 10 homes are already being built up there. Looking forward to 2024, we want to expand on our industrial park. We're working on something right now that could be possibly bringing another 100 jobs to Peru, and we're in the middle of negotiations with that. We want to improve Baker Lake, continue to grow retail. With the help of our retail team, Bob Vickery, we've reinvented ourselves. These places like Chick-fil-A, all they want to talk about is population. Population does not matter. $70 million in December in Peru. So, and Popeyes is coming. Everybody relax. They have their permits, they have everything, but the land, we're waiting for the shovel to go in also, so we're excited about that. what else do I have for notes? Oh, big one too, something different. I don't know if everybody's seen, we received a $600,000 OSLED grant with our Parks and Rec. We're gonna be putting in chillers and making a winter place. You know, everybody's got summer activities and stuff, and I think this is gonna be a big draw. And being a match grant, you're talking about $1.2 million will be being put into that park. So a lot of things going on in Peru, and that's just a small sample. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kowalski. Mayor Vita, you are up next.
Yes. Well, thank you for letting me be your guest mayor today, representing Streator. I'm going to just break down some of our highlights from our different departments. Last year, our administration department did a big upgrade and changed all of our systems over to a new BSNA, which was quite a bit of their time and undertaking. For our fire department, we were able to increase staffing. We now have a chief and 15 full-time firefighters. They answered 3,157 calls for service. Some of the big things with that, we ordered a new heart monitor as part of our capital spending. That also led us to bring our cardiac success rates higher than the national average. So in Streator, your return of heart function is 61.9%, whereas the national average is 27.9%. Discharge to normal life, 23%, and national average is 8.9%. So that's a great bit of work that our department's doing. We also have gotten a FEMA grant last year, $221,000 for new radios, and we're working through the purchase of those now. In 2022, 1 month into myself being mayor, we were contacted by AMT about potentially paying for service. So we spent a great deal of 2022 into 2023 preparing, looking at alternatives, and ultimately deciding to bring in our own ambulance service for emergency calls. Working through this, we created intergovernmental agreements with Reading Township, Allen Township, and Long Point, as well as a referendum for Reading Township, which would cover South Streator, east and west of Streator, to provide services to them. With that, we are very careful with our cash flow. We had 6 months before Medicare and Medicaid payments came in. So we were very watchful, but now we're successful. We've been 1 year in and have continued to watch that and improve our calls. For our police departments, we added staffing, so that was a big undertaking, and trying to recruit police officers, as most of the people up here know, is not an easy task, but we've been able to increase and continue to add our staffing in that department. They responded to over 13,000 calls last year in the city of Streator, which we have 12,500 people, so quite a bit of calls. But big news for them, we are now body cameras. We did a lease last year for those. We've also leased flock cameras, so every entrance and exit out of our city is now covered by a flock camera. We've already used those cameras. I think our last one was installed 2 weeks ago, but we've already recovered a stolen vehicle out of another state with the use of those cameras, so a big proponent of that. With them, we've also replaced squad cars, tough books in the squad cars. We provided bicycle light kits for those that needed them. We provide gun locks and as well as a prescription drop-off. Our Public Works Department has a lot of aging equipment, so we put on order snow plows, a new mower with an 8-foot deck, new roller for street repair, as well as spend money repairing our street sweeper so that we can get that fully functional. One of the big projects for them is we're looking at moving our current Public Works barn, which was retrofitted into an old building in 1962 that sits in a floodplain. We have another location on Iowa Avenue that we're preparing to move into there within the next few years. In 2023, we did site work. We poured new concrete and lights throughout the area. This year, we'll be building a new building shell. We're getting the specifications for that. And then next year, we'll outfit and finish the inside of the building. We also had a new animal control van, which was long overdue for that. Parks, we did a lot of work on Marilla Park, upgrading electrical service. We have a new sculpture, actually 2 there on loan from a local artist. a new pavilion built by our Streator High School students, which is a great project for them to learn a skill and trade while providing us with a new shelter and giving them a tie-in into the park. We also were awarded an OSLID grant for Marilla Park, so we will be doing new picnic shelters, putting in gabion baskets, and increasing parking and access for fishing and ice skating at that facility. We did enter into an agreement with James Street for our Streator High School with our soccer fields and provide them. They needed a space. It took some maintenance off of us, so it was a great deal. We've been working with Live Well Streator and Illinois American Water. We just installed our 5th water fountain at our parks through grants from them. As far as economic development, this past year we brought partners in to present, with us being partially in LaSalle County and partially in Livingston County. We are members of NCI EDC as well as the Greater Livingston County Economic Development. We've continued downtown improvements. Our facade grant program has been going on, is in our 10th year, and every year we have 5 businesses that we award grants to continue and improve. And if you haven't been to Streator's downtown, it's a big difference than what it has been in the past. We're also looking forward to a craft cannabis grower, Larum, is going to be put into what was our former peanut butter factory. Tourism and marketing is another big proponent that I push for economic development. New banners downtown, as well as a push for our arts. We have, surprisingly, Streator has 40 pieces of public art available between murals, sculptures, statues, and artwork. There's a new website that's been launched, streatorpublicart.com, where you can visit these. And another big project with that was our library dome. Our Streator Public Library was built in 1907 and is a Carnegie Library. Inside of the rotunda, we had a grant as well as matching funds to completely restore murals that were painted in there. They have not looked this good since 1945 when a fire damaged them. So it's beautiful, new lights, new plaster work on the rotunda. We've also hosted, thanks to the help of Chamber and local manufacturers, a manufacturing day where 200 plus area high school students came in to visit and view manufacturing and see what those jobs look like. Another big push that we're doing are housing programs. We budget $50,000 a year to demolish properties, and we were awarded $73,000 in a strong community grant, which we'll be using to continue demolitions. We do have a rehabilitation program. We just finished our 2nd house. Properties that come into the city's hands, we will take a half payment from the new owner. They have 90 days to bring the property up to code. When that work is complete, we sign the deed over to them and get the rest of the payment. We've been able to bring 2 houses back up to code and get them off our books and back onto the tax roll, so that's been a good program for us. We've added 1 part-time employee in 2023 to code enforcement, and another one will be added this year. We're doing rental inspections, we're in round 7, so that's been a long time coming. We also are working through round 1 of our CDBG housing rehab grant. That grant lets us do 10 homes, up to $50,000 each of repairs for owner occupied. That's through a lot of work with NCICG, so we appreciate that work. And we've applied for round 2. For new homes, we've also removed impact fees to try to lower the cost of going forward with that. Infrastructure-wise, wastewater treatment plant, we're doing an energy efficiency program, as well as solar project to bring solar to the plant to save our electricity costs. Road work, we completed a 1.2 mile stretch of 12th Street, which is a truck route. That was a $3 million project. Otter Creek from Main to First Street was completed, and another 600-some thousand of general road repairs were done last year. This year, we've already started our roads projects for our general funds, so those are actually in process this week. We also completed our entire Riverside neighborhood, which is anything west of the Vermilion River in Streator, and put sidewalks throughout there. We had a $240,000 grant where we were able to provide sidewalks to Kind School. Lismar was another sewer project. We received a $954,000 EPA grant with no local match, which brought an entire street, 18 homes, onto our sanitary sewer service. So in 2024, big projects. In 2023, we received $1.6 million as part of the federal budget. $1.2 million from Senator Duckworth's office to do wastewater treatment plant improvements, including energy efficient motors and variable frequency drives into our oxidation ditch. We also received $400,000 through Senator Durbin's office for new storm sewers to help us eliminate some combined sewer overflows and reduce backups. 2024, we just announced last week, we are lucky enough to get $750,000 from Congressman LaHood. That work will probably be next year, but that'll be our Iowa Avenue truck route. So with 12th Street, Otter Creek, Iowa Avenue, and with the Iowa Avenue funding, we're moving 4th Street, which is another truck route. So we've been doing a lot of work on fixing and repairing our truck routes to try to drive that economic development and make it easy to access our manufacturing facilities. We'll also be working on a South Vermilion sewer lining, which is another grant of $425,000. That will line our last brick sewer in the city. So after this year, they will all be fully lined. We are hoping to bid soon a project through an EDA grant for our incubator, which will include upgrading our electrical as well as promoting a maker's lab, so that if you want to start a business but don't have all the equipment, you can come in, use whether it's lathes, 3D printers, and be able to use that space. Currently, we are working through fiber internet. We have 2 locations that are bringing fiber access to homes within Streator. Also finishing a strategic parks plan. Our Kelly Street Bridge is a big one. That's been closed for more than 5 years. So we are currently going through our engineering work on that and hope to have work started next summer through there. So we're doing the engineering right now. With that, I guess the last thing I'll invite you to is some of our events. We have our Food Truck Fest, Pluto Fest, and Streator Fest with our national acts. Cruise Night, Poco Poco, but there's always something to do in Streator, so thank you again.
I told you I was a little nervous when I forgot Kevin Minnick. Thank you, Kevin, Electric Operations Manager, and I believe I missed Tracy Mitchell, our Finance Director, so I apologize to them.
Good job, Ken. Way to rub in that $70 million in sales tax. We appreciate that. How's everybody doing? So, who really wants to hear Jeff Grove talk today? Me either. So we're going to ask for your participation. I asked, actually, is Ken Mullen here? If he still runs that Pedicab, today would have been a great day for that, with everybody parked way over there at the old facility there. So anyway, we're going to do a little Family Feud style, Save LaSalle style, all right? I asked Bill yesterday how many people be here. He said about 240 people. I know there's roughly 10 people per table. So earlier today at City Hall, we drew 1 through 24, and lucky number 23, got it? 6 and 23 are our participants today. So the topic is City of LaSalle. Instead of me talking about the top 6 things going on, I want you guys to give me some ideas of what you think is going on. And it's be a situation where it's not all roses and unicorns and flowers, so be honest, okay? Who was our first? I think table 6 was the first one drawn. So table 6 owns the board. Yeah, let's hear it. I'm not Richard Dawson, so I won't be kissing the contestants today. So, all right. Table 6, you're starting us off. What do you think is one of the top 6 things that the City of LaSalle faced last year into this year? What? OSF, very good. Number 4. So, a lot of question marks right over the last year. What's going to happen with our healthcare in Illinois Valley? And thank goodness for OSF to step up to the table. It's been amazing. I talked about it today. This table might have their ears ringing today. Mayor Ken and I were talking to some of their mayors, how nice it's been as far as the transparency, the communication from day one till now, and in the excitement of getting some health care back to the area. I want to appreciate Ottawa, Mendota, and Princeton. They've done a great job of supporting Illinois Valley in this time. But boy, it's nice to have Peru and some of our local clinics open back up. So thank you guys. Great job. Good job. No X's yet. Anything else? What is it, one of the 6 topics LaSalle's facing last year or this year? Survey says? No. Yeah, thank you. That's your first X.
Police recruiting.
Yes, very good. Police. Thank you. Number 5, if I can get to that without falling. All right. I think one of the mayors already spoke on it. Let's talk about police. So my brother was a police officer for 28 years in St. Charles, and we have some retired police officers here right now, our Chief Spajinski. When he was testing 28 years ago in Mount Prospect, St. Charles, some of those communities had 200 to 300 candidates for 2 or 3 positions, right? Nowadays, we're lucky if we can get 6 to 7, right? So, we looked at this about 5 or 6 years ago in the Illinois Valley, doing like a shared policing program. At that point in time, it just wasn't right dynamics of everything going on, different pensions, partisan politics, let's be honest with it, involved in it. But I think obviously it's something I think we need to revisit, because what's happening right now is we're seeing some other communities, everybody's kind of raising their rates, right? Their salaries, which I don't blame people. I'm the first one in the private sector says, hey, you have to better yourself, right? So Jeff Grove can go to Mendota or Streator because he's going to make more money than LaSalle. Shame on LaSalle, right? We have to sharpen our pencil a little bit. But I think if we get to the point where we can kind of work together as a community to get a nice wage that would be good for everybody, then we have that opportunity to keep the talent local and not lose them to the suburbs. So policing is a big issue, so good job on that. And I think we're very blessed to have a great police chiefs and great police force in our Illinois Valley area. But again, it's good to keep that talent home. Right, so we actually have to open our contract halfway through the contract to try to maneuver some stages in the contract for wages. Because obviously once you're there for a while, you have the pension, it's harder for some of the older guys to want to leave, right? Because they're invested. And we kind of hope that it's not just a money thing, that they like the environment, the culture we have. But again, money is a big part of it, right, for families. So again, something I think we need to revisit as mayors, maybe down the line, is to maybe one centralized policing unit, so we're not cannibalizing off each other. 1X, keep going. Nope. 2 X's. Table 23, are you doing this?
Storefronts or businesses.
Storefronts, survey says? Yeah, that's all right. That was a little bait and shit switch there. Team over there, 23, are you guys ready to steal it?
How about the Rotary Park Celebration of Life?
Yeah, Rotary Park, good job. So we're really excited about Rotary Park. It's really become a destination, not just obviously celebration lights. We have a nice baseball field there. I'm very excited to just open up last week our disc golf course, which is huge nowadays. I had to learn how to do it. Pickleball, a lot of pickleball people and the fans here in the audience. It's amazing how that's just grown, right? And that's not going anywhere. So we're going to have some pickleball. After you do some hockey or skating at Peru, come over to our toboggan hill we're going to have. It's actually a situation where we're going to have a rope that brings you back up. You don't have to climb that hill, which I'm happy because I still have a 6-year-old. So very good. Keep it going, table.
Road construction.
Road construction, survey said. First X. Anything else?
Schools.
Survey says. These are all good questions, but not on the top 6. One more X.
Rail.
No, I know that's going to be discussed later. Sorry. All right. So both teams, let's give both teams a hand for volunteering and helping out. Number 2. downtown. So very excited that we're starting to move. Downtown renovation kind of goes with, you know, everything going on, but we're real excited now. We have some renovation going to the east side of First Street. I had talked to LBA about, hey, can we get some music extended to the east side down there? I want to recognize Pieces of Fashion. You know, they try to get down to that east end. They probably were a little bit ahead of the curve, but we appreciate Dina for trying that down there. But now we are moving that way. Very excited about the east end growth on downtown. Anybody else from the crowd? Any other discussion? Huh? Yes! Karis Fire. That just doesn't go away. So the Karis Fire over the last 15 months has been a big learning curve, right? For all of us. And sometimes that's good, because this is my 15th year, and we've done so much stuff in this last year. That's growth is amazing, right? As far as learning how to do things. From transparency with, now we're actually videoing our straight live streaming our council meetings, to obviously working with our constituents, working with a major corporation in town to try to keep that communication going. And I think it's, you know, it's been an obstacle. It's been a challenge, but I think we're trying to do the best we can. We've definitely learned some issues. Fortunately, we have some new contacts with the EPA through emergency management services. Now we have a situation where we know how to put an all-call out, not just in LaSalle, Peru, or local area, but countywide, that can help people who are maybe driving into LaSalle, if there ever, or any local community, if there's ever an issue. So again, we're learning through this. It's a process, but again, the communication is the key. Do we have all the answers? No, we don't. We'll be the first ones to say it, but we're trying to find out the resources we can use now to get those answers. So again, and a lot of people in this room have been very good about helping us with that, so thank you. Last one. Every city's using it, dealing with it. EPA. Lead lines, lead water lines, right? So one thing I've noticed through my 15 years and in 6 years as alderman is, and everybody in this room knows, whether you're in the private sector or in the city government, is it's all about running your city like a business, right? This isn't the days when you can kick the pension down the road or then have to worry about unfunded EPA mandates. This is real now, right? EPA guidelines, OSHA guidelines, making sure we're current with our pensions, which is only the right thing to do, right, for all our people who served in police, fire, and our government facilities. So lead lines is our new thing we're hitting right now. It's a challenge, you know, but we're trying to keep up with it. And we have a company right now going through town. I think a lot of people have got a chance to get some funding on that to help us at least identify where the lead lines are on the city side. And then we have to do also from the city side to the residential places to find out what those lead lines are to make sure we're addressing those. So again, another challenge, but that's what we're here for, right? If it was easy, they wouldn't need all of us in this room. So I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you guys for everything you guys do. Let's appreciate everybody here.
All right, thank you, Mayor Grove, and thank you to our participants. Whether you knew you were going to participate or not today, appreciate you giving some answers out there and not leaving Mayor Grove hanging, so thank you for that. Mayor Stewart, we'll pass the mic to you.
All right, thank you. I apologize. I don't have a game to play or some props to follow with that, but you'll just have to listen to me ramble for a few minutes here. So I'm going to give you a little review of 2023. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, and I'd like to thank Bill for inviting us to attend. So 2023 saw Utica doing basically a lot of lingering projects that have been kind of on the list for the last several years, mostly infrastructure items such as drainage issues. We did do a rather large motor fuel tax program, which did see many of our streets getting repaved that were in rather desperate need of getting done. We do hope to do another small one this year to continue that focus as well. We did a large curb and gutter and drainage project on one of the older streets in town. It is heavily used in some of our events. We use it as our parade route, and we also use it for Peru quite a bit. So that was needed to be done, and it was a long time coming. So we were glad we were able to finally put a little focus on some of that stuff and get that taken care of. You know, Utica's known for their events. We have a lot of events, summertime that ramps up, so we put a lot of focus on that last year. We did host the Vintage Wine Festival again. It was our 4th year doing that. That's the largest wine festival in Illinois. If anyone has not attended that, I highly recommend coming there. It is just a spectacular event that's put on by the folks that do that. We did also host the annual Burgoo Festival again last year. It's one of the LaSalle County Historical Society's largest events, so we're happy to continue helping make that a successful event for them. So that's kind of 2023 just in a nutshell. But the main focus is what's going on in 2024. So right now, the village has one main project that we're looking at in 2024, and that is what we're calling the Market on Mill Retail Plaza. It's going to be constructed on the empty block on Mill Street that was unfortunately destroyed by the 2004 tornado. That's coming up 20 years this year. So the village was able to acquire the last remaining parcels back in, I think it was late 2020, I think we acquired the last piece of property with that. So at that time, the thought process was, what are we going to do with this now? Right now, it's just as a parking lot. And it was never meant to continue to be a parking lot for all those years. It needed to be developed, and we needed to see something, grow back into there. One of the biggest challenges with that area is in the floodplain, so that was a lot of deterrent with that property. We did have developers look at it, but the fact that it was in the floodplain was a major deterrent, and the cost of flood insurance just wasn't viable for most people to take that property. So back in September of 2021, we learned of a grant that was available for Rebuild Downtown and Main Streets grant. When we first discussed the grant that was available, I remember sitting in my office with a few people, and we thought, well, we'll just do a simple streetscape program. We'll take the end of Mill Street that's not done, and we'll go ahead and match it to our current end of Mill Street and make them match. That's kind of where we left it. That's what we were going to do. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought this isn't really appealing. I mean, grants are extremely competitive. They're very hard to get. And the thought process in my head at the time was, if we apply for this, we're probably not going to get awarded that just to do a streetscape program. I think that there was probably a lot of other projects out there that could be done. So what can we do to revitalize that area? And we looked at them empty lots that were sitting there on the far northern end of Mill Street. And we had learned of a area in Batavia called the Batavia Boardwalk. So we looked at that idea and we thought, well, this might work here. We could do something with this. We can build this area up by the floodplain. We can put some small buildings up there, and we can have our own retail plaza. So that's what we did. We decided that we were going to apply for that grant, and that's the route that we were going to go. So we did apply. It was a very lengthy process, and we didn't have a lot of time to work on it because by the time we decided this is the route we were going to go, there wasn't a lot of time before the deadline was met. So we did get it in, and then in August of 2022, we were found out that we were recipients of that grant, and now we're in the final stages of the design for this. We hope to bid this project out sometime next month, and plan is to have construction going in May. We hope to have a small season in this year with that, probably not till later in the year if we get one. But I'll give you a kind of a little rundown of what that's going to look like and how it's going to be. So to start, we're going to have to build that area up out of the floodplain. It's going to be surrounded by roughly a 3.5-foot decorative stone wall, and there'll be ramps to go up on either side. They'll be ADA accessible. Area is going to consist of 12 buildings that are 12 by 12 in size, and they will be all retail shops. We have designed the area to fit a total of 18, but we'll see what the demand is as we continue on. But for now, we're going to start with our original 12. There is going to be a little plaza up there that's going to have tables and benches for resting, things like that. The buildings are going to kind of be on the front and the back of the property, more or less. So we plan to keep the entire middle section of this area open and lay some turf over there. The thought behind that is we have, removable kids games up there, things for kids to do, family just any kind of family fun thing for that to do. We tossed around putting some bouncy houses there during events and things like that as well. Maybe even have like a pop-up vendor weekend. So there's a lot that we can do with that area once it's complete. So we're really looking forward to getting that done. We're gonna have a small band shelter on there too for some bands as well. What else have we got? So I guess one thing I would like to mention with this project that we're doing, and I know I'm focusing a lot on this, but this is our main thing for 2024. A lot of people have asked us what the parking situation is going to be once we start doing that. So we've looked into that, and there is going to be ample parking when the whole thing is said and done. So obviously right now you look at that area and that's where everyone parks when they come on into Utica, but it's not defined parking. People can park any which way, and you've kind of screwed up the whole layout of how it is and how people will follow suit when it goes to parking. So we have decided in the back, we're not going to build up the entire area. There will be a parking lot at ground level behind it that's going to have several parking spots. The village also did acquire property behind the Mill Street lots that we're going to turn into one large parking lot. That's actually going to be phase 1 of the project. We're going to core that area out and just put some gravel down to have parking in the interim while we're building. So that way there will be still parking available. The other thing that we do plan to do is in front of our current village hall on Division Street, we are going to take that road and we're going to widen it. We're going to put head-in parking on both sides of the street there. So by the time it's all said and done, there's going to be probably close to 100 parking spots, if not more. So there's going to be ample parking, and I think that we'll be able to suit everyone's needs just fine. So that's basically going to take up the majority of the construction season for 2024. We are still working on the I&M Canal. We did receive a grant for that to put 2 temporary berms in a radius it covers basically the village limits of Utica. So we are still working with DNR on that. So the focus is to get construction started on the Market on Mill, and then we'll circle back to the canal and work on that throughout the remaining year. The other thing I want to talk about is Mill Street Dining. That'll return this year. That's going to begin on Friday, May 10th. We're happy to continue to do this and help out the businesses. It's really become a major attraction for the entire area. So we're very fortunate that we have a village street that we're able to do this, and we're able to close off for the summer months to allow our businesses to have this feature. So that will return again, and we look forward to having another successful year. And thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Stewart. And Mayor Hasty, if you can close us out with opening statements.
Yeah, so first of all, Bill, IVAC, thank you for hosting this, and thank you to everyone out here for taking your time out of your day to learn about your community. Mayor Ken, you said that you were nervous to talk in front of state reps. At least you're not having to go after a game show. So count your blessings. In the last year, the city of Ottawa had a number of economic development things that we were able to accomplish. PetSmart Distribution Center added 189,000 square foot addition. Heritage Harbor of Ottawa have built 36 new units and invested about $14.2 million into their properties. This includes parking lots, paved paths, expanded docks, pickleball courts, all of that kind of stuff. St. Genevieve River Cruises saw its first full summer season with which included scenic cruises, weddings, corporate events, and live entertainment. We had the opening of Utica Institute of Healing in the lower floor of the NCICG building. And if you're not familiar with Utica, they provide patient-centered therapeutic crisis and wellness services through prevention, treatment, and recovery in rural communities. And their impact has already been felt in ours, and that's something that I think is needed more so within the entire Illinois Valley. As part of the RISE grant, last May, the city contracted Place Dynamics to conduct a downtown full-time housing and short-term rental feasibility study. The findings of this study were eye-opening but not surprising. Price Labs, a reporting service for the short-term rental industry, reported that there were 350 active listings within 15-mile range of our city, and 126 of those were located within our city limits. The city was able to pass an ordinance last month that will regulate and appropriately tax this growing industry. And the study also found that there were a definite need for further development for housing in our downtown. And this is something that I'm pleased to say is already happening. We have 5 buildings currently that are being renovated. That includes the former Margarita building on Court Street, renovations to 718, 722, which is a realtor group that's also going to be managing short-term rentals, so it's good that they're going to be downtown. 222 West Main Street, which is a new construction with retail below and residential up above. And 817 Columbus has done renovations which have added 3 luxury apartments, and that's already been completed. Also in our downtown, or close to it, we've added 6 restaurants in the last year. Those include the French Press, Niku Japanese Kitchen, Saffron Bazaar, Tapiatos, Love. It's an ice cream parlor that I apologize, there's no way I can pronounce it. And Keegan's Irish Pub, which should be opening in about a month's time now. In addition to that, we've had business openings of Goblin Gaming on LaSalle Street, KP Salon and Barbering. NCAT has a new cover over their parking area. The Aesthetic Studio, Thrive Collective, Birth to 5 Illinois, Wisdom Tooth Doctor, and CardNet Company. As always, the city has received a number of grants. I have to put an asterisk with saying that number this year is $93 million in grants. 2.2 million of that has been the continuation of the YMCA flood buyout. The city also worked with NCICG for a countywide $118,000 COVID business resiliency grant, which had awards given to 4 Ottawa businesses. $16,000 certified local government grant for a South Bluff historic survey. We had a $506,000 OSLA grant for Allen Park improvements, a $550,000 housing rehab grant that focused more on our close east side. And then the big one that we did have was the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, through President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, awarded $90 million to mitigate the last radium contamination area in Ottawa. We weren't done there yet, but because the Representative Lauren Underwood was able to also help us get an award for $1 million grant to be used towards our 3rd fire station. Speaking of our fire department, it was a primary mission of the Ottawa Fire Department to provide a variety of services designed to protect the lives and property of the citizens of Ottawa and surrounding areas from the adverse effects of fire, sudden medical emergencies, or the exposure to dangerous conditions caused by man and nature in an efficient, professional, and well-trained manner. In 2023, the Ottawa Fire Department responded to 4,182 emergency responses. Requests for EMS-related calls rose to a record high of 3,484 calls from service. The fire department also received a number of grants in 2023, including emergency response training for 22,484. The SAFER grant, which allowed us to hire 3 additional personnel for $713,000, and OSFM training reimbursement of $16,969. The police department recently launched its community initiative program. The plan's intent was to bring the members of the community closer to the police department with the assistance of an officer dedicated to the program and a K-9 partner. We launched the program with the officer and K-9 rookie, and I cannot begin to describe the overwhelming success the program has seen in the last year. Through continuous training and with the help of its handler, Rookie has been a huge success in the community, having become quite famous in his own right. And I happen to know that our chief spends a lot of time in the morning getting his mental, his calmness down with Rookie. When discussing the needs of not only Ottawa, but the people of LaSalle County, I need to share information regarding the North Central Area Transit, NCAT. NCAT provides demand response door-to-door public bus transportation for the County of LaSalle, Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And there are no limitations or eligibility requirements for who can use NCAT. All NCAT's vehicles are lift-equipped, make the fleet of 31 buses and vans ADA accessible. After a record-setting year of 2023, where NCAT provided 72,000 rides, a 38% increase over 2022, they are on trend to provide even more rides this year. Many of the benefits of public transportation go unnoticed to someone who doesn't use the service, but to those who do, it provides access to life-saving medical appointments, the ability to remain at home and independent, or the opportunity to secure a job and provide themselves and their family. And for those who do not use public transit, it does reduce traffic congestion and pollution, and it can help keep taxes down and can drive the local economy. This past year, NCAT is proud to say that they provided over 27,000 rides, 33% of for employment purposes. This current fiscal year, it's 36.6 of NCAT rides are used for employment services. NCAT has many programs to make scheduling and riding easier and more convenient. You can find more information about NCAT or how to ride by visiting ridencat.com. And also, Commissioner Eichelkraut wanted me to remind everyone that donations are always welcome from any of the communities. And thank you to everyone who so far has given donations to NCAT. In our public works, we resurfaced 50 blocks, 31 alleys. We also resurfaced the parking lot of Home Hardware, which reconfigured for 5 additional parking stalls for a total street program of $2.5 million. And that was a total length of 32,000 feet or 6.16 miles. Total curb replacement was 5,600 square feet or 24 blocks. And we did 48 sidewalk ramps. East Stevenson Road, which is up on the north end of town, east from Walmart, along with Baker Road and MBL Drive, reconstruction, we are in the design phase of reconstruction for a $4.5 million project, which is largely being paid through grants. In regards to our parks, Peck Park last summer, renovations started at Peck Park involving the resurfacing of both basketball and tennis courts, as well as the expansion of the parking lot. Additionally, the tennis court fencing received a fresh coat of paint and upgraded the lighting. This summer, further enhancements are planned, including the renovation of the playground area with the new equipment, the addition of a splash pad and shelter, and painting of various courts, including the basketball court, 2 pickleball courts, and 2 combination tennis pickleball courts. The total cost of construction for these improvements is around $1 million. Allen Park, which is the park that's directly south of the Illinois River, received a $506,000 IDNR OSSA grant. In the summer, the 21-acre community park is set to undergo renovations with exciting enhancements planned. Among these upgrades is a paved quarter-mile loop, walking trail meandering along the banks of the Illinois River. The pathway will not only offer scenic views, but also grant easy access to several existing shelters and new gaming areas. The gaming options include chess and checkers tables and a ping pong table in one area, while the second area features 4 bag toss stations. In the upper park area, improvements will focus on the installation of a new playground and hillside play space, complete with accessible poured-in-place rubber surfacing. Additionally, a shelter and bench swing will be incorporated into the section. To maintain a cohesive visual appeal, a stone council ring seating area will be crafted to match the stone of the existing shelter. The total cost for this construction is about $1.2 million. In talking of what's coming ahead for the next year, between May 4th Morel Fest and the closing of the Kris Kringle Market on December 22nd, there are currently over 40 events planned in and around Ottawa, or around our downtown. And to put that into perspective, there's 39 and a half weeks from April until the end of the year. So we are going to be in a situation of having more than one event a week, every week through the end of the year. That's a pretty cool thing to have in our town. Some of these events include the 10th annual running of the Starbuck Country Marathon. Our third Friday Artisan Market is returning this year with 5 Fridays. We have the Ottawa Family Pride Festival. And then June through September, we have our continued Music in the Park on Saturdays. And this year we're adding the Jordan Block Jams on Friday nights. Also new this year is the Infinity Food Festival and Art event. And then we're also bringing back Friendship Days from July 24th to August 4th, which begins with our Ottawa Area Chambers Rock the Block Picnic, Ottawa Uncorked, the Legendary Fish Rodeo, Touch a Truck, 40th Annual Car Show, a T-Swift dance party, which I'm extremely excited about, Ottawa crafts and vendor sales, sidewalk sales, and much, much more. Then we also have Scarecrow Day, Fall Festival, Smoketoberfest, which I have to give a shout out to our Ottawa Visitor Center, recently won an award at the Governor's Conference for outstanding niche targeting for last year's Smoketoberfest, so we're going to be bringing that back again this year. And what is probably one of the most hallmark movie moments that you're ever going to experience, the Festival of Lights Parade will return on November 29th. Other projects that we're working on this year is the Green Street elevation project at a cost of just over $4 million, with about $3.5 million of that being from a grant. Construction will begin later this month on, I should say later at the end of April, on the elevation of that Green Street. And basically what that's going to allow to do for our east side school and residents is a second egress. If the water's to rise, Green Street will no longer be in a floodplain, and it's not limiting people to be just trapped by our Fox River Bridge. We're also entered into an agreement with Fairgram Engineers and Environment out of Champaign for the design of a second wastewater treatment plant, which will be located along the Fox River. Construction is currently anticipated to be completed by 2030 at an estimated construction cost of $33 million. As I mentioned before, we're also looking at a third fire station, and the site location has been done to determine the best location for a third station. And what this will do is improve the department's overall 4-minute catch-all response percentage. It was determined that the third station location would, on Dayton Road, would cover 97% of incidents within a 4-minute catchment. The city was recently granted a $1 million grant by the federal government to use towards this project. And then the big one that people tend to ask us about the most is our riverfront development. That's been ongoing for a long time. It's been a part of our comprehensive plan. In August of 2022, the city received a grant for about $3 million, a little over $3 million for the amphitheater. And we are just about ready to have back, as part of that, our feasibility study for that amphitheater, which will let us know just how big of an amphitheater we can put together. Also, we've been working in order to make sure that we are designing the park around the amphitheater, because you can't just set something like that in a vacuum. And we were able to present that plan last Monday to our planning committee, and the reviews of it were glowing, and we're looking forward to moving forward on that. And with that, I want to thank everyone again for listening to all of us, and I'll turn it over to you, Bill.
There we go. We can send that back down that way so we can share this a little bit. So a couple questions, and I'm not going to do a game show theme like Mayor Grove, but a couple questions for the audience. Number one, as you heard from each of the mayors, who was surprised by or just excited by the amount of tourism that was touched on? So I think that every single one of these mayors touched on the need or the development of programs and projects that are going to drive tourism to this area. Did that surprise anybody in the audience? No, you all are like, yeah, we knew that, Bill. I was surprised by some of it. So that's exciting to see, the fact that there is a lot of that activity happening, not only because we have a state park right across the street that draws millions every year, that really opens up the entire region to keep those people overnight. We're in one of those spots, I call it conveniently inconvenient. We're about an hour and a half away from Chicagoland, an hour north of Peoria, Bloomington, an hour south of Rockford, an hour east of the Quad Cities. So you can come visit us, take advantage of all the fantastic things we have, and then go back home. And not spend the night and not give us a little bit more cash, which I think we can all agree on we'd love to see. With the addition of the growth at Rotary Park, the amphitheater, the Mill Street Market, the disc golf that most of our communities are starting to see, you've now got a full weekend of events that you can do, whether you're an older individual or a young family with kids. We've got darn near everything covered to encourage our tourists to stay in the area, stay overnight, dine, shop at our businesses, and really keep them local. What I would challenge each of you to do in our region in general is to work together on some of those tourism and marketing campaigns, to highlight each other and let those folks know that if you are in Ottawa, it's a 10-minute trip to Utica, and from Utica it's a 5-minute trip to LaSalle, and from LaSalle it's a 2-minute trip to Peru, and if you're in Ottawa, again, it's not too far of a drive south, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to Streator. I do think that there is enough activity in this region that we can really keep those folks here and highlight everything that each of our communities is doing. The second piece that was a surprise to me was the amount of grant funding that our communities are applying for. If you get on that kind of, it's a two-sided thing, right? The Facebook, I sound like my grandmother. On Facebook, a lot of times you'll see it, whether it's Scuttlebutt or it's any of those community pages, there's a lot of growth and a lot of good happening. But we get those folks that sit in kind of our keyboard warriors that'll say, well, that's gonna cost us money. What's that gonna cost us? I don't know that everybody understands the amount of work that our communities are putting in with groups like the North Central Council of Governments. Yeah, please, absolutely. To receive funding that offsets the cost to our residents and to our taxpayers. And I hope that hearing some of that today really starts to open your ears and your minds to what is actually happening. These folks are available, their staffs are available. If you've got questions about it, they are excited to talk about it. You don't get into local politics, public politics in general, unless you really care. I think if you ask anybody that stood up earlier when I asked the elected officials to stand up, it's not necessarily for the paycheck, folks. There is a big heart and a lot of commitment to our region from all of those people. And they'd be happy to talk to you about everything that they're doing to make sure future state, short term, is it going to cost us some money? Absolutely. I think most everybody in this room is in business, and you understand in order to make money, you've got to spend money sometimes. And it's the same thing for our municipalities, our county, and our state. So to each of you and your teams, I commend you for everything that you're doing and encourage you to continue it and keep the needle moving forward. So thank you for that. With that, we are going to get into questions from the group, from the audience, and I'm going to start with Mayor Hasty. It was touched on by a couple folks. We've got some developments happening. We've got growth in our retail, in our manufacturing, and in our business sector. One of the pieces that impacts directly is housing and housing availability. And we are in a situation, we've got a room that's got a lot of realtors and financial professionals in it, and I think that they could probably speak to this. The amount of housing available currently across our region is probably the lowest that they've seen in quite some time. And that's a need, and I'd like to hear from you, Mayor Hasty, around what Ottawa's doing to help address the affordable housing situation that's impacting our region and available housing in general.
All right, thank you. It is something that we've been talking about quite a bit with our economic development team. And there's a number of different things that can be done. We're looking at some other options. I can tell you that the City of Ottawa did put about $7.5 million of infrastructure up 71 in anticipation for some development that is more of housing for, that's not just like the Heritage Harbor type of housing where it's hundreds of thousands of dollars for a home, but something that's far more reasonable for middle to lower income people. Other than that, I would encourage all the communities to kind of work together to develop these different plans and trade ideas with one another and see what we can come up with.
Anybody else along the table, would you like to speak to the housing opportunity that we see?
Yeah, I mean, as for Peru, I mean, we understand we are behind on this issue. We did have 3 Diamond Senior Living open up this past year, which is 53 units. The Polar subdivision, we built, I believe we're up to 16 homes in Peru being built this year. That's really an incredible number if you think about it. The realtors that are here, I think there's only 14 or 15 homes in the entire Peru that are even up for sale right now. But I try to spin it as a good thing because everybody wants to come, you know, through our communities, but this benefits the small villages like LaSalle and Cherry, and you know, they can live in those areas, Ladd, and still be close to our home. So it kind of helps the entire region, as we always keep saying. But yeah, we would love to get we're always looking for partnerships with home builders and things like that.
All right, and to that piece, I've got Senator Resident Rep Yednock here, so not to put the two of you on the spot, but there is a bill that's being worked on around affordable housing becomes a touchy subject sometimes because it doesn't always have the best connotation. But median income housing, there's a bill being proposed right now that would allow developers to create or redevelop areas, brownfield, grayfields, into median income housing. And part of that bill, what I've liked about that is that it calls for 30% of those funds to stay in counties with 300,000 people or less. Where that money would a lot of times be eaten up by Chicagoland and the suburbs, it specifically targets regions like ours. So if you are so inclined, I wish I had the bill number in front of me, I don't. I would encourage you to look into that and see if you can help support that. I think that for communities like us, those monies would really encourage developers to see the intersection of 39 and 80 and the possibilities that they have, and then that extra money really, that does oftentimes encourage people to invest more as well. So again, I just wanted to call that out. Next question is, David, we'll start with you. The question is, what are your economic development goals over the next 5 to 10 years? And again, we'll start with David, and if any other mayors have additional comments, we'd be open to hear them.
All right, thank you, Bill. So economic development for the next several years within Utica. I think, we as a village, we'd like to see the northern end of our town developed. We have several areas out and around Interstate 80 and Route 6 that we'd like to see developed. Some areas would be beneficial for industrial purposes, such as warehousing, while other areas would be suited for larger retail and lodging. There's also some areas that are close to residential that would be best suited for expansion into new subdivisions or expanding into one of the existing subdivisions as well. We continue to work with both property owners and developers to hopefully get some activity out by the interstate. I think everyone in this room probably understands that, economic development is not something that happens overnight. It takes years and years to land the right fit for your community as well. The other major economic development we have that is coming this year, and I talked about it earlier, is the market on Mill. So that's going to help us out. The idea for them 12 buildings that we're going to start with and that have them as retail is they'll serve as business incubators that can potentially turn into brick and mortar businesses. So it's great for not only Utica to have this, but it's also great for the entire LaSalle County area, as Utica's not always going to have brick and mortar buildings available. Currently, I believe we only have one open building within our town that is available on Mill Street. So this could be advantage for other cities as well. As these businesses continue to grow, they could move into Oglesby, Peru, anywhere that a building would be available. So that's where we see ourselves in the next several years.
Yeah, direction of economic directing in LaSalle is going to be obviously our downtown. Talked about that a little bit already. Moving eastward, and then obviously appreciate the businesses already there, because I never want to forget those folks who've been there 40, 50 years. Because that's important, not to forget about the folks who've been there already as your base. But again, we did have some excitement at the northwest corner of 178 and Route 80, across from Love's. Local group from LaSalle, Peru, LaSalle Enterprises, some familiar names in that group, purchased that property from the bank, and we're hoping that since it has a local flavor, they'll help market that area and hopefully get some development there. Obviously, we'd love to see a hotel, get some of that pillow tax that Ottawa and Peru and even Oglesby gets a chance to have. Right now, I say we do not have a motel or hotel in LaSalle, if you know what I'm talking about. So, Daniels. But again, we're not going to get the big box. We don't have that draw. There are big boxes and restaurants want to go where there's already a congregation of that, right? So obviously, for Peru's they're going to have that, and we're going to try to get that niche downtown LaSalle and try to grow that way.
So I might be a little different as far as looking at economic development. When you're getting these big multi-million-dollar projects, there's only so many of those a year in our country. So we spend a lot of time trying to cultivate our small businesses, because if you can get 20 to 30 small businesses, that's a win. Our downtown has had quite a bit of women entrepreneurs, which has been pretty incredible to see that difference. But the importance of the SBDC, having this incubator project where people can have a low-cost rent to try to start a business. That's really where we're trying to push some of that, so that it's, no one's gonna come save Streator. Streator, we're gonna save ourselves. So we really try to push people and give ourselves a good environment to try to spawn and grow and have that come from within. So I would absolutely love to have a large corporation say we're gonna come to you, but we're approaching that as trying to keep what we have and grow our small business.
Yeah, as everyone well knows, I touched on it before about the $70 million in 1 month in Peru. We continue to reinvent ourselves, and I can't repeat it enough. When our economic team, Bob Vickery and stuff, we call these people and say, population does not matter. I got a little irritated, right, Bob, about Chick-fil-A is going into Dixon, Illinois. Okay, they got 9,000 more people than us. I guarantee we'd sell more than they would. Guarantee it. And, it's a touchy subject. It comes up a lot. You think about that number I keep throwing at you, $70 million in 1 month in retail in Peru, and generated nothing from the Peru Mall. Nothing. And that's driving me crazy. Yes, Marshall's, Bath & Body, and Joann Fabrics, great stores. They're top ranking in their division. But can anybody name another store in the entire mall besides those three? Buckle? Okay. Movie theater. But it's a simple thing is with the mall, where's the signage? Put some signage on the building. You drive by, you can't even see a marquee and what movies are playing. So to me, it's the biggest waste of real estate in the county, to me. I think someone's got to give there and soon, because it's just too much of an opportunity being wasted.
Yeah, I could touch on this for a while, but I think I'm touching on another question. But when it comes to economic development for the 5 and 10-year plan, obviously what residents want, they want the restaurants, they want the activities, they want the fun things that they're looking forward to doing. And the good news is those things can actually turn around relatively quickly. We've seen that. We've seen restaurants come within a year or two and stuff like that. The thing is, what I think we really need is more jobs. We need the jobs, we need the labor jobs, we need them to come and develop. And they take a long time to plan and develop out. We have an area in Oglesby that's just rich for development right along I-39. So that's where our focus is. So when you say 5 or 10 years from now, I'm hoping that we're laying the groundwork for that to be developed, and I'll have hundreds and hundreds of jobs that'll be coming. Again, it might take years for that to happen though.
In regard,
real quick story is our economic development director is Kurt Beedeye, familiar last name with Mayor Beedeye here. So when I was interviewing Kurt, I said, "What's the elephant in the room here, Kurt?" Being that your wife's the mayor, and that's why those would be his responses, like the Kaskaskia. I said, "Well, good job. That also is the elephant in the room. But your wife is the mayor of Streator. Will be there in competition with trying to draw competition between Streator and LaSalle." And I think we came up with the fact that hey, we're far enough away logistically, but also the fact that maybe a store in downtown Ottawa would want to come to LaSalle, and maybe a store in LaSalle might want a second location in Streator. So I thought that was kind of nice how we talked about that, because we, as mentioned before, we all should work together whenever we can. Sorry.
My comment. And my comment is, God bless my husband, because he reports to 2 mayors. So.
When it counts.
in regards to economic development for Ottawa, I've already touched on some of that in regards to our riverfront development. In addition to the amphitheater and the parks and the new development of the YMCA there's also going to be room for 4 multi-use structures there, which we're hoping is going to not only bring habitation down to our downtown, but also more stores, more riverfront, more all of that kind of stuff. And then that does extend through the rest of our downtown. As we watch this growth of more urban setting in rural areas of having downtown living and things of that nature. Our downtown is renovating just not the first floors, but the second and third floors of all of our buildings as well. And I think that's going to bring a lot of economic development to areas that's needed within our town. One of the things that we see is growth happening outside of the immediate downtown area, which then that affects our Ottawa Elementary School and different things like that. So the more that we can bring our economic impact further in, the more it's going to help everybody within our community.
Thank you. And the development of the second and third stories downtown Ottawa, I think, leads to the next question that I have around plans to continue to bring and or keep that 45 and under generation here. So what you're doing there, you're giving that group of people a place to congregate, a place to be together with peers, and I think that's extremely important as somebody who still for now falls into that category. That is something that group of people looks for, and as we can see that continue to happen in Ottawa and downtown LaSalle, the development out at Heritage Harbor, the way that those communities are developed, where they face in to promote that community feel. If we can see some of that across the region, I think that would be a big draw to that group of people. But with that, Mayor Curran, the question is to you, and what are you doing, or what is the city of Oglesby doing to draw that group in, that 45 and under crowd that will be kind of that next generation of people that keep this region moving?
Certainly, I am not in that 45 and under crowd anymore, unfortunately. But I was when I got here to the area. So there's really two aspects to all of that. The first one is quality of life. Quality of life, and the second thing is opportunities for job growth. When I came to the area, I'm kind of a good example of that. I came as a 36-year-old man with a relatively young family. And then when I was 39, my career option made it to where, I was never planning when I first came here to stay. But when I moved here, the quality of life is better than I've ever seen anywhere. There's just things that we have here that just can't compete. Whether it's the event, Fun Fest blew me away. I've never seen anything like that. If you were in San Diego, you have Del Mar Fairgrounds. It's about 4 times the size of what we have in Fun Fest, but it's also about 300 times the amount of people. So the effort that all the communities here do is just fantastic. The other thing is the community involvement we have. I've never seen that before. Baseball. Baseball is such a big thing in our local communities, not only because of the competitiveness of it, but I've been so impressed from all the different coaches that my kids have. I feel like it's almost like an extension of the family unit to the point. I mean, they're not just teaching good coaching. They're not just teaching baseball. They're teaching teamwork, sportsmanship, how to be a good person. It really impressed me. So when I'm thinking about all these things, that's what made me decide at age 39, I have the opportunity to kind of change my career path. So I retired from the military and I laid down roots here. So that's the first thing when it comes to quality of life, and we excel at that anywhere here in our region. The second thing, though, that we do need to work better on, and for me it wasn't so much of a concern because of retirement, but it's the job opportunity. So you can have all the great quality of life all you want and everything where people want to stay here, but for them to be successful, if they have to move away to be able to provide for their family as the best opportunity they can, that's a problem. So we need to be able to make sure that we're creating the labor jobs, and they take so long to develop that stuff is one of the problems. So that's why we have to continue to work towards those efforts. But again, quality of life and opportunities for job growth. That's what we're working on.
Anybody else? Please. Anybody else have an answer to that?
Yeah, I can just touch on that a little bit. One of the things I like right now is what IVAC's doing with the 40 under 40. I think that's a great event. It shows that there's opportunities. There's recognizing the people in 40 years old and less can do things. And another thing I touch on is childhood. You had a good childhood growing up, you're going to stay. I'm 59 years old, born and raised, love Peru, staying here. Support baseball, soccer, softball, events. Let the kids grow up, quality of life, and they're going to stay. And then when they see this 40 and under thing that IVAC's doing, they see the opportunities and then jobs and start their own businesses.
Anybody else?
All right. So what was funny when we were having lunch earlier, this group was concerned that we were gonna get through all the questions and then run out of time, or have time left over, excuse me. We're at 1:45, so this will probably be our last round of questions, just so you know, but that just as a reflection for you all, you were concerned, and here we are, about 4 questions in and 15 left to go. So appreciate the thought and the input that you've provided to these. One of the things that was asked was, as far as economic development goes and the quality of life piece, what industries, types of business, or other programs are you looking at developing or growing over the next year or so? And Mayor Klowski, we'll start with you on that. So where are your growth opportunities, or where are you looking for growth for your community over the next year?
No secret, repeating myself, grow retail, keep giving these guys an opportunity. Our industrial park with Eric Carls and our economic team and Scott Schweiger have built up there with that, developing that new TIF. There's new opportunities, and that'll create jobs, growth. It's just endless up there. There's such an opportunity up there. And then now that GF is here, I think that opens the eyes to other companies going, you know, what is this Peru? What is this? 80, 39, airport. These are all selling points for us, but it's across. I think we want to continue to grow retail, but now that we're into the industrial job market, it's exciting.
The question was quality of life, right? Is that what it was? Is what you want to talk about, I think?
Just in general, what sort of developments would you like to see starting or focused on over the next year or so?
Yeah, so when you talk about quality of life, I feel like our area it's our biggest strength that we have. There is some things, though, when you compare us to much larger cities that they have that it's very tough for us to compete with, and that's like convenience items. For example, one of the things that we've been working on is trying to get fiber throughout the city. It's such a long process. I think we started in June of 2019, and the first person to get it was July of 23. Granted, COVID was in there, so I know a lot of the other cities are working towards that. That's one of the big things that we're trying to bring, that it brings convenience that other places might not have. The other thing is variety of activities to do. One of the things the city of Oglesby has been doing is we got a lot of different events that we do. We added more this year to try to focus on all demographics, like bringing things for the teenagers, for example. We have a Taylor Swift dance party, and then there's this larger than life event that we're playing at the parks and stuff like that. The other big thing is building our relationships with community organizations. I know I've been preaching on this for a little while now. Matter of fact, I was trying to put something in our newsletter, and I realized it was so long that I sent it to the paper, and I really appreciate the newspaper put a op-ed in there talking about how we need to get people volunteering for these community organizations, so everything we do. These are things that's going to improve our quality of life here.
Just for the record, there is no competing Taylor Swift dance parties. You cannot have enough Taylor Swift in your life, so everyone's going to be just fine.
We already talked though. Yeah, are you a Swiftie?
Yeah, oh yes, definitely. Some of the other things is just looking at kind of how to reinvent our communities in a way that is appealing to the people who want to live here. When talking about like the previous question about the 45 and under crowd, the world is changing in a way where a lot of people can work from home and be 1,000 miles away from their office. And so by looking at our communities as far as something where you can live and enjoy your life, the culture of that, of being able to like walk out your front door and be able to go down to your local bakery and do those kinds of things that are picturesque, that's coming back into fashion. And small towns like the Illinois Valley are going to excel at things like that because you can work anywhere in this day and age. As long as you've got a computer, you're good to go. So that under 45 crowd, what they're looking for is an experience. And that's something that I think resonates with all of the questions that you're asking. As long as we continue to develop that community sense, we're going to have people want to not only be here as children, but want to grow old here and continue to stay here. So I tried to recap a couple of those different questions into one for you.
Thank you.
So I think Mayor Kern kind of hit it on the head. Quality of life. Let's think about that for a minute. We're all here. We're all in this room. We're all here for a reason. we stayed here for a reason. It's because we love this area, and most of us probably grew up here, or we moved here and we fell in love with the area when we moved here. And if you have children and they went away to school, there's a very solid chance they probably came back. And I've said this to a lot of people I know, friends of mine included, they've moved away from here. They've went to another state, they went and explored, but they've always found themselves coming back to this area. So I think that's proud for all of us to say that, you know, we have done a great job keeping businesses in this area and growing and attracting new businesses. But you have to also keep in mind, you know, everyone wants that big fish. They want that big fish and the big industry to come into your town. But you also have to think about that and make sure it's the best fit for your community as well. You know, us personally, we'd like to see retail, we'd like to see lodging, we do want to see certain kind of industry, but it also has to meet your infrastructure needs as well. And I mean, that's kind of the way that I think we feel about it as a community.
I know, I think about when I go into LaSalle State Bank as a kid, they had the different companies on the wall, Madison, Zinc, Karis, Mays Nail, American Nicoloid, and some of those companies are still with us, and we're very happy to have the Karis and the Mays Nails and the American Nicoloid, and we don't want to lose those, right? Never want to take those for granted because they're a big supplier of good jobs for our families in town here to keep people. But I think for LaSalle, again, our thing is to be healthcare. Most people I talk to now, some family member in one way or another is part of healthcare, and a lot of that's because demographics. We know people are growing older and living longer, but they need assistance with that. I have a good friend I went to school with, and her and her husband came back to LaSalle to be successful in the suburbs, build a home in LaSalle, and now they're part of the healthcare process down here, which is awesome because you'll not just come back for their own career, but obviously to take care of aging family members, right? We all have that. So I think healthcare is a really big thing for us in LaSalle. Obviously services, we talked about often some small retail, some other options downtown LaSalle, restaurants, cafes. Airbnbs is good for us, kind of goes hand in hand with tourism. Right now we don't have the big hotel, but it is amazing from our Airbnbs as far as the registration of that. Seems like every weekend we have people coming down, even during the week, which is nice to see people doing that. So I think obviously with Route 39, Interstate 80, I think distribution centers will eventually get here. I think brick and mortars aren't going to go away, but I think people are going to continue to go with the online, and I think we're very well positioned, again, with the LaSalle, Peru, Ottawa corridor on the Route 80, and hopefully after Utica gets filled up, there'll be some stuff coming our way. So, but quality of life, you know, one thing we're really excited about is people are starting to know about the Rotary Park and our little walking path down to the lake. And it's even more key for us to kind of connect with maybe Peru Baker Lake when we have a way to get from town into a Rotary Park and not to go on Route 6 and then busy roads go out there. People get to Baker Lake, then go to the east side of our neighborhoods in LaSalle and get a chance to go to Rotary Park. And we're even trying to talk about with potentially Ameren to get to the canal, which would be a nice connectivity. So again, it is, I hear a lot more and more stories, like you said, Mayor, when people are leaving the area, they kind of have their fun wherever they're at, but when it's time to settle down, Bill, to your point, you know, we're an hour and a half from Chicago, hour from Rockford, hour from Bloomington, Normal, you know, Quad Cities. A lot of good things we can do culturally that we don't have here, but a lot of it is already here. But then we get to come home, hopefully the safety of our area. So thank you. And just a point of order, the two tables that participate today, we did give them a little heads up that they wanted to participate or not. So they won't be getting a home version of the game, but we do have some LaSalle gift cards for each of their participation. So thank you guys for participating.
I'll feed off of that too. I think there's this common theme up here everybody's talking about, is events. Brings fun and activities to your community. I mean, everybody, when I heard Ottawa's, what, 40 events throughout the summer? You hear that, Adam? 40 events throughout the summer? We need to talk, okay? But I'll do a little self-reporting too. Our TBM Avengers thing, that's amazing. I mean, that is an event May 17th, 18th, Jim, I believe. It's an amazing thing, and salute veterans. People are coming in from all over the place. Again, the theme up here is events bringing people in. The thing that comes to mind now that I haven't talked about and I hadn't got opportunity to is, you know, Mayor Harrell brought the pistol shrimp here 3 years ago. That has exploded, and it is a wonderful event, and the community loves it. They're reaching out to advertisers now in Utica and LaSalle. You know, there's all kinds of sponsorships there. So you're bringing people in. I met people from Hawaii last year that were here to see their son play baseball. So that's again, bring people in. When they get here, they buy things, they shop, they eat, they support small businesses. So, but again, I think events are a big part of all of our communities.
I think I'm the only one that hasn't talked on this one yet. So speaking of events, that May 17th and 18th, I mean, this is an opportunity where we can collaborate because Streator has our food truck festival. You have your TBM Avengers. I think Ottawa has Kite Fest that weekend. So that's a great weekend to say, come to Starbuck Country, come to our area. And, there's different events and different things family friendly that you can do. A lot of this, just reiterating some of that, but the fiber internet, that's a quality of life economic development tool. You have people now that can work remotely, and instead of spending $400,000 on a condo in a big community, you can come to Streator and buy a house for $125,000. And that's a big value, especially if you're young and raising a family. So I think that's, one, it's great to have internet access and download your Taylor Swift songs and whatever else. But that is an economic development tool for us, and it adds to the quality of life. Last week, our chamber had our annual dinner, and the number of people that were recipients of awards that were 45 and under was most of the room, and it was impressive to see. I'm still in that group, the 45 and under group, but it's great to see in Streator that 30 to 40-year-old that's really coming into their own as far as running organizations, volunteering, opening a business, and giving back and setting their roots here in our community. So I'm seeing that more and more, and I'm seeing people moving in that were, again, working, spending a lot more on housing, and now they can work remote and they're moving into our town. So that's a big thing that I see.
I love technology. I'm actually getting text messages from people in the crowd as we're doing this. I failed to mention on Thursday, right, Lisa, is the expo, the Veterans Expo show. That's on Thursday at the TBM. So thank you for texting me that, and I apologize for getting that.
All right, well, we are right up against the 2 o'clock hour. First and foremost, I want to thank our mayors for taking time to speak with us today. We'd like to thank all of you in the room. Again, it's a big ask to come and give us a couple hours in the middle of a workday, and appreciate that. Appreciate the support that you offer all of these folks and the chamber as well. If there's any takeaways from today, I think there's 3 things that stuck out to me. Number 1, that tourism and event piece. It's a major industry. If you don't consider tourism industry yet, hopefully you're starting to after today's conversation. It is an industry, it is a money driver, it is a revenue generator for this region. Number 2, the regional piece. You've heard regionalism talked about by almost everybody up here. They have 230 people in this room now to hold them accountable over the next few years. No pressure, folks. But 230 of you to hold them accountable to that regional piece and working amongst communities, getting out of the silos that may have been there, and making sure that we promote the Illinois Valley, Starbuck Country, whatever you want to call us, to the rest of the state and the nation. The last piece is, again, is just the community feel. I really do appreciate that. Appreciate so many people from across all the different communities coming out today, and I hope you all drive safe. Because of your long walk, you saw cheesecake. It looks like everybody ate their cheesecake too, so you did have a little extra appetite. Mayor Kenny's got one last closing statement.
Yeah, for the record, I'll be doing Wheel of Fortune next year.
High production value.
All right. Well, with that, we will close out. I appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully, everybody picked up some information, and you're better off for it. So, everybody, drive safe. Have a great day, and thank you.